David, I'm going to ask you to, take off on this. Uh, from a publishing perspective, bigger book means more pages and therefore higher costs, if we're talking about the printed book now. So higher cost means higher investments either from the publisher, the distributor, the retailer. And then, of course, a higher cost means you are actually limiting an audience in a way, because then the bigger the book, you're going to have a smaller number of people who can afford to buy more expensive books. And of course, the bigger books always have other problems of portability. How do you carry a 1,000-page book around? And you can't sit and read it at one sitting. You'd like to carry it around. And actually, readability, a big hardcover, 1,000 pages, is not easy to read. So there are many other physical problems with big books. So as a publisher who's published Vikram Seth's Suitable Boy, the biggest of all books probably, and many others, how do you go about tackling this issue of big books?
Well, I'm going to personalize my answer, because I think that's the best way to talk about books, because at the end of the day, a publisher makes a very subjective personal decision beyond the business elements. The two books that I'm reading at the moment are both close to about 900 pages each. One is the Steve Jobs biography by Walter Isaacson. The other is the Haruki Murakami novel 1984, IQ 84. The world over, these are the two hottest books at the moment. Right. So for me, it's a kind of one-word answer to why would you publish a big book over a sort of shorter book, and that is excellence. If a book is excellent, if a book is a completely brilliant book, its size doesn't matter. I think you start getting into problems about portability and readability and unit cost, and how do you price it, and how do you ship it, et cetera, when it's a book that you're not very sure about. And at that point, maybe size would matter. If I was looking at a book that I wasn't very sure about, and if it was a 120-page book, I'd say, yeah, maybe, I'll take a risk with this book. But if it was a 900-page book, I might sort of, demur. But I think at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is if a book is a good book or not. If a book is a good book, size definitely doesn't matter.
From the technological perspective, Kindle has changed a lot of things. The iPad and Kindle has changed a lot of things. There's a psychological barrier in the mind of a customer when they walk into a bookshop and they see a fat book. And there is a touch-feel element. There's the weight of the book involved. That will I actually be able to get through this? That's not the process when you're downloading a Kindle book. You don't get to touch it, you don't get to feel it, and you certainly don't know what size it is. How many of us actually check up how many pages is the book? We look at the cover shot on the online store, and we look at the price. So I think to a certain extent, technology actually is going to work in favor also of big books.
That people think that because of Twitter, because of Facebook, because of the shortness of shots on films, because of sound bites and all the rest of it, people are not prepared to read books at all, or fewer and fewer will be. And I think this underlines the whole question of fat book. My firm belief is that just as no media has ever died out yet, and I think it's very important to remember that. You were talking about Socrates. Well, the discussion, debate as a media has not died out. Rumor has not died out. In fact, rumor is rampant on the internet. Print didn't destroy rumor and discussion. Radio didn't destroy print. Television has certainly not destroyed radio. Radio is very much alive and kicking, and none of these things are going to destroy reading. And therefore, I think that people will choose the books basically for the reason David has described, that he would publish them. If a reader reads a review or hears from someone else or even sees a cover that he likes or something, he's not going to, or she is not going to be worried about the size. They're simply going to say, that is a book which I want to read. And I firmly believe that whether they read them on Kindle or in books, And again, I think the book as a thing, as an object, will survive, despite Kindle or any other way of reading on the internet. I think people will choose to read the book, as I said, because they have heard good things about it, or because they like the author, and so they go and buy another book from him.